Danar.
Yes. Hi guys. We're back.
Did we ever leave? Do we ever leave? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, we kind of took a little hiatus this week, but that's okay.
No, I mean, you're always with us. You're always watching our stuff, aren't you guys? So we never really leave. And
That's
your
true.
heart and your soul are always there.
No one's ever really gone. Anywho, yeah, welcome back, guys. Today we're doing our TNG movie episode reviews, and today we are following up with episode 11 of season 3, The Hunted. Now, we did skip the Defector, you might think, but we didn't because we already reviewed that. So if you were expecting the Defector today, go back and check it out after this review is done and see what we did earlier.
We time traveled. We went back several months and we recorded it then, and then we came back in time now to do this one. So to us, it's all been the same, but to you guys, it might feel like a bit confusing. But now you get the joke we said at the start of that episode, because now it makes sense.
Yep. It's a true story.
That's why I had it exactly the same yesterday from that.
Yep.
That'd be funny if you did like a clip show of this, and it cuts from like short hair to long. That'd be pretty funny.
So hi everybody. Glad everybody's here. Hope you are well. Everybody hit like, obviously. First thing you do when you get here.
Pretty important. And of course, happy birthday for yesterday, Stuart.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It happened. He was here, he was there, he was everywhere. And here he is now. So he's choosing to spend his boxing birthday with you wonderful people. That is something right there. Yeah,
well, it was funny because I was going through my memories on Facebook, as I do it like every day, and there was one from May 28th last year that said, even though it's my birthday, Sam and myself wanted to do a live review, and we did the Naked Now. So that was last year on May 28th. Yep, the Naked Now.
But we did... Oh, no, we didn't. We got drunk a different... Right, okay.
We didn't do it on the birthday. Yeah.
Weird.
Right? So...
And yesterday that left no impression. Like, I really remember that. That's bizarre. Cool.
Anywho.
Okay.
So. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about The Hunted today, and hopefully you guys will be able to chime in with what you think, what you feel, what you know, and look forward to that. We have a few super chats already, which is awesome. We got Ozzy, who throws in $5.
Thank you.
Here's a coin for the awesome commander and his birthday next Sunday.
That's true.
And I won't say the rest. Ozzy, again, puts in $5. All hail the great commander and his super captain Foley. Dun, dun.
He loves to hail people, does Ozzy.
He does. And Olivia Julius is here with $2. Hashtag Truckers Llama. I don't know what that means.
It's a picture she sent me.
Oh. Gotcha. All right, cool.
I don't know what it means either, Stuart. Like, I know what it looks like, just not what it means.
All right. Well, I'm terrified. So.
Aw.
Anywho. So, as you guys see, super chats are great.
Yeah, they are.
We have to read out what you say on air, even though, having said that, I didn't read the last part of either one of Ozzy's because skeleton hands. But anyway, yes. So there you go.
I will pop off and start showing.
Yeah, you please do that. So yeah, if you guys can super chat, please feel free to do so. It does help us out. Plus, like I said, I get your comment read or your question answered on air, and we have to read them. So if you can do that, that's awesome. It does help support the channel, as it does joining the channel. The memberships have actually proven to be quite beneficial for the channel. So if you can, hit that join button down by the subscribe button and join at the rank of either commander, captain, or admiral. You get an instant rank. You can either be the same rank as one of us, outrank us both, whatever you want to do by joining the channel. It's kind of like a Patreon almost, but on YouTube. And speaking of Patreon, we do have our Patreon.com/Trekyards. If you want to help us on a monthly basis over there, you can feel free to do so. And also, of course, if you send a PayPal during the live, just let us know in the chat, let the moderators know, and they will let us know, and we will read your comment or question from PayPal via the email on air. So lots of ways to help us out if you can. And if you can't, that's fine too. Just share the video and hit the like button. Hitting the like button is a very important thing, as it helps us out. So 44 of you here. If everybody hits the like button, we should get those likes right up right away. And those are actually great analytics as well for the channel, doing that. So lots of ways to help us out. But yeah, so he's going to continue sharing, and I'm going to tell you guys that, hey, there is links down below for Eagle Moss and Teespring store and stuff. You can some Trekyards merchandise. But as for Eagle Moss, we do have a new Eagle Moss code. It's the code is Trekyards 10, which gets you 10% off anything in the Eagle Moss store. Oh my God. Eagle Moss code, Trekyards 10, and 10% off anything in the Eagle Moss store, including special editions, XL ships, and shop exclusives. The only thing it doesn't get you 10% off on is pre-orders. So that has to be updated in the description, but I will take care of that very soon once we know it's active. And yeah, so lots of ways to help us out. So please do so. And don't forget some cool Trekyards merch down below in the Teespring store. Awesome stuff down there.
Hi.
Hi. We weren't talking about you. It's fine.
Oh. Maybe you were, though, in your... I mean, I know there's no way I could find out, but...
Oh, shit, that's right. You can go back and watch these.
Can I, though? Can I really be bothered? I don't even know.
You should. You should. I might say nice things. You never know.
So
anyway, yeah.
What was your thoughts on TNG Season 3, Episode 11, The Hunted, now that you've actually watched it fresh again?
Well, as you know, I wasn't a huge fan of this one going into it, and I actually watched it twice for this review. First time I was like, okay, still not super impressed. Second time, when I didn't have to pause it and take notes and all that, it was just a run through of it. It actually flows pretty good. There's a lot of what the fuck moments though, and a lot of that doesn't make any sense. Please explain that to me. A lot of kind of nonsensical stuff in this episode, but overall, it's pretty fun. It kind of shows you starship operations in some minute way as far as security goes. Plus, you get to kind of get a tour of the ship via unconventional means. So there's some really interesting stuff in here, and there is very much a Vietnam War vet kind of analogy to be drawn here, but that's what Star Trek does. It also highlights the application for the Federation and kind of that process a little bit. So it actually, I appreciate this one a whole lot more having watched it for this review than I did kind of initially just remembering what this episode was about. Because there's really some really great writing and, well, not writing, but like, I guess it's
construction.
Yes, like the whole, his tactics and stuff are very, very cool. The way the things that he does to just keep piling on and piling on, piling on. So I really appreciate that. How it's dealt with kind of makes me go, you guys are idiots.
Well, I'm excited to see what you think about it then, because that's interesting.
Because when we get there, we'll get there. But yeah. I appreciate it a little bit more. It's a more fun episode than I remember for sure. So
now,
I'll say that. Now,
again, you've seen it a lot. This is one of the few ones I've actively I remember watching this on VHS and choosing to. So it's one that is much more in my brain. That's I remember the phaser trick where it shoots a force field, but that's a Wesley trick later on. So I remember the extra bit I was waiting for whatever happened. That's fine. I remember everything else. Now, so you didn't like this one so much before. Was that just because it was one you started tuning out on? Because I know you obviously didn't skip any of your previous rewatches, but you just weren't paying attention to because you had a certain preconceived notion. Or, it's interesting to suddenly jump to liking it more after watching it more in depth. What do you think was that shift, or just because you really focused on it more? Or, I don't know.
Because I really appreciated the fine nuance of his escape pursuit techniques and stuff. Initially, a lot of the glaring issues I have with it, which I'll point out as we go along, are really kind of like, really? What happened? No, that wouldn't happen. Just stupid. Well, a lot of coincidences and things.
I'm excited to hear about them, Stuart.
I'm sure you are. So I just remember.
You're too. Every time you watch it after a while, you're caught too off guard. But watch it a second time, you can enjoy the ride a lot more.
Yeah.
You know the ending, you know the steps.
Yeah, it's another one of those kind of forgettable ones, though, in my mind.
See,
so
not at all for me, you know.
Yeah.
See,
after we watch like a few more episodes or get into another season, I'll be like, The Hunted. What's that one again? So.
See, I think though, it's not forgettable because the guy's performance is so solid. I mean, he is a generic white male in a sense. You know, there isn't anything too distinctive about his whatever. But I think what he's trying to portray, he absolutely nails, which does not always happen. And so watching him, every scene he's in is a good scene to watch. And you don't always get. It's like in a little bit with the most toys. Like Farjo is a joy to watch. You know, he nails that. This guy nails this for what this is, and the nuance of the. You know, and I forgot all about the whole. He doesn't actually want to hurt people. That duality. How do you portray that? You know, a guy doesn't want to hurt people, but is programmed to hurt people, but only in certain circumstances. You know, it's a weird line to do. I think he did a really, really good job. So yeah, for me, this one, it pretty much held up to what I was remembering. I didn't know how much the balance would be of the escape versus not the escape. I was happy to how much of it was the escape. Well, I guess 2 escapes if you break it down. My biggest problem is really with the ending. And I thought there was a little more to the escape, but that was just my lack of remembering. But I like all the scenes with this guy. And my biggest note this time around, really watching it, was because of the guy's dialogue, this very much feels like a Shakespearean drama. He talks in a very eloquent way, a lot of good nuance that feels Shakespearean. Like, you know, a tale of a lost soul. Doing this, and this, you know, a tortured poet, you know, these vibes, which I thought was really quite interesting, that, you know, elevated it beyond just the simple, guy's gonna get out, gotta find him. It's like, okay, but it's more than that, you know.
See, there was a lot more to the escape than I remember for this one. You said there was a lot less. For me, there was a lot more to the escape. Yeah. But yeah, so that's interesting. Dementia puts in $2 and says it's Picard basically. Don't think about the plot.
I think the plot's fine, just maybe some how to get from A to B. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of A to B. Like there's like 19 steps, so obviously they're all, you know. But no, this is definitely better written than Picard, I think, in general.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
Okie dokie.
So they're around Angosia 3.
Beautiful planet model.
Applied for application to the Federation.
It's a beautiful planet model mesh.
Yeah. Well, they've expressed a strong desire to join the Federation, I guess. And they're getting a tour of the main city, and we get a nice matte painting here.
Lovely.
Yeah, and of course it's good that they're here because Zefram Cochrane is their representative, which is nice. You know, it's a nice tie into.
Well, Zefram Cochrane's long lost twin with a moustache.
Yes.
Because really, the moustache is what defines this character. But we do. I mean, there's often that joke. Where does Zefram Cochrane go? We never know what really happened to him. Not really happened to him. He ended up here with his moustache.
Yep, and this is a colony of cloners, like we saw in Up the Long Ladder, and.
Oh right. You know, so I was like, no, they're not. Oh, you're joking.
Yes,
I was really confused there for a second. That would have been fun though, because Riker's like, I don't like these guys. That would have been a nice link actually if they were slightly cloners to have. But sorry, tangent.
Yeah, it would have been nice if there's a little dialogue here between Picard and Riker when the guy goes off to talk to him. Be like, he looks familiar. Do we know him from somewhere? I don't think so. Number one, I don't think we've ever met him.
But it's
no, it's because you studied history. And he's goddamn Zefram Cochrane.
And isn't that guy that works on the Saratoga? Does it look a lot like Mark Bell or Mr. Bell? Very confusing. Doesn't our computer sound like our character's mother, who also looks like the second commander of the Enterprise under Pike, who also looks, you know. Although it is funny to think that in 9 years, the man in between them, Jonathan Frakes, is going to phaser the man on our left.
Yep.
Phaser him into a ditch. For peeing and escape peeing, pee escaping, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Anyway, we find out here that they've recovered very quickly after their war. And he says, yeah, we prefer intellectual study and rational decision as opposed to aggressiveness. So
I was a bit confused by this. They keep talking about the war, but is it a war between... They do name the other thing, but just like how Russian and England sound different places. Is it a continent? Is it a planet? Is it an alien spacefaring?
It's never answered. There's just the war plays into the rest of the plot. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's never really. It could be another planet. I don't know.
Because and you can't even like this is a hard one to judge at a technology level because they have laser weapons. They understand transporters. They've got contact with the Federation, but they don't have warp drive in the sense we don't see it. But all we see is transports between planet and planet. They don't need warp drive, so there's no way to determine their technology level really.
I assume they have warp because later
they must
the transport they're like just not armed and not warp capable. So,
so I would assume they could do other planets, but why would you make super soldiers except to fight other planets? I think contextually it feels like aliens. It also explains why he didn't at all phase him when he saw Worf, which theoretically is his first alien life form that looks not human. So I just wish they made a little bit of clarification. It's not important, but it's the war. And it's like, with who?
It's a line of dialogue that, like, unless you watch it again, you really don't notice it. I mean, sure, they talk about the war later, or that soldier.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's one of those lines that the way it's delivered, it's not clarified what it's specifically referring to.
I literally had no memory of that. Even having just watched it an hour ago, I didn't realize they said the war in the scene. It's just a throwaway line. It didn't resonate whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they said it so much time later on, so many times. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because Picard's like, it's so impressive how you've recovered so quickly after the war. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, a guy pulls him aside and says, "We got a problem."
Yeah.
And
the pigs escaped.
Yeah. A prisoner's escaped from Luna 5. Two guards were killed. And a transport stolen.
Sorry.
And
funny, I apologize.
No, it's not. And goes back to Picard and Riker and tells them the situation. And
very
Riker's
honestly,
like,
good for him. Doesn't normally happen that way.
Yep. And Riker's like, "Sir, may I?" He's like, "Go ahead." So they call up to the Enterprise, and Data's in command, and they're like, "Detain the vessel and quarantine the pilot." Is he armed? Yes. Consider him armed and extremely dangerous. So, I mean, it's good for, the planet that the Enterprise is in orbit. Bad for the prisoner. I love that. That's the line later. "I'm a victim of my own poor timing."
See, that's a great line.
He would have got away with it if it wasn't for this. So.
Meddling kids. Although we know later on the plan is to get other people, so I'm wondering what his plan was more here, because they were obviously, well, you can't see a plan, but as soon as he got in orbit of the main planet, I don't know what his plan was. I guess just escape. But maybe this was such a surprise that no other ships were in range, whereas later on they managed to scramble a ship. And then I guess you get an asteroid in orbit of the planet.
I would
No, because that would be dangerous. It's not in orbit of the moon. I mean, it could be in orbit of the moon, but we don't see the moon. I just realised that. Watch this. They treat it like an abstract thing. But it's like, well, there's a big asteroid, but not. It could be
that he left the Luna base and started heading away from the planet, and there's like an asteroid belt, like in our solar system kind of thing, maybe. But yeah, we find out the ship has no warp drive and minimal weaponry, and this is kind of cool. It goes behind the little asteroid thing, and comes out the other side with just the drive section. So they fly the Enterprise around the back of it, and they see the wreckage, but there's no life signs. And there's no life signs on the drive section.
Well, there's never life signs, yeah.
Yeah. And then that's this like stinger before the opening titles is, "Sir, the prisoners eluded us."
Yep.
And Picard's like, "He eluded the Enterprise?" And then it's like, yeah, opening titles.
And it is oddly refreshing to actually have the Enterprise be beaten, because it's logical. There's no like, especially when we know how he does it. There's no sense of, oh, you got cheated. It's just like, yeah, he outthought them. Not because he's necessarily smarter, but because he's a military tactician. No one here is a military tactician. Not even Picard. You know, it's a different version of intelligence. So I like how it's framed, actually, although, yeah, the asteroid scaling breaks horribly. Like, it's obviously not as, it's a little bit as big as the ship, and then suddenly the Enterprise is huge, and the Enterprise must be hundreds of times bigger, or, much bigger. But also using the smaller Enterprise miniature, like, that Enterprise, I don't know about you, but as it's going around, looks like a smaller ship, even with the window scale, because I know it's this 4-foot miniature. Like, the plate style, the way it's lit, doesn't have anywhere near the same mass that the big shots have.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel big, even though it's huge compared to the ship.
Well, when you see it on the view screen, too, you see the asteroid and you see the ship. I mean, the asteroid doesn't look very much bigger than the other ship that goes behind it.
Yep.
And then when you see this, I think that's one of the things, because
the Enterprise should be as big as the asteroid, if not bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, the freighter could be big, doesn't look big. Just a weird thing. I mean, limitations of the time, obviously, but yeah, it's a good intro. I like it. It's effective.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we get the title screen, Hunted, and we find out here that the prisoner's name is Rogar Danar.
Yeah, Rogar
Danar. Given to bouts of uncontrollable violence.
Oh.
He's got a long criminal record that we can't get into here.
Although, given that we then know his actual condition, he isn't prone to bouts of uncontrollable violence. He's prone to, you push him into a military situation, he's going to fight back because he's a trained soldier. So, like, how much of this is them lying or at least misinterpreting the truth? Because obviously Cornwall, babe guy, Cochrane is meant to feel a little bit sketchy, but not like in a scumbag way, just in a sketchy way. Like, there is still a line of, he's not a villain, he's just abusive politician. So how much are they misleading versus lying versus, I mean, do they need to know? This is an inter-issue. Do we need to tell this random alien race that has this massive warship all of our business? But where do you think that line is here, intention-wise?
It's just one of those government leaders that is just towing the line and saying the truth and not giving you the whole
From
truth.
A certain point of view.
Not exactly. Not really lying. It's not trying to be a villain per se. Like, he thinks that what they're doing is still right, and he just doesn't want to give the Federation anymore. No, he doesn't want them asking questions, considering they're vying for Federation, membership. So.
I want to call out though, that is a really great background. They don't often do good-looking view screen backgrounds. I think it's a great background, great jacket, great logo. That's one of their top 10 that we've seen so far. It looks really effective. Like, that could be a president's office.
Yep. Lookout Terror Radio, £1 with no comment, but thank you very much, Lookout Terror Radio. Appreciate that. Does make
a difference. Thank
you. So they're looking for the ship, and they have no cloaking technology. The ship's not anywhere within that they can see. And I love how Riker's like, maybe he's hanging above the planet's pole, which we found out a couple episodes ago that was the Riker maneuver. It was one of the ones that Riker had performed where he hid the ship over the pole.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
It's almost like he's like, maybe he's hiding above the pole. Fucker.
That's my maneuver. Wow, that is a great callback. I had no memory of that. Nice.
So he says that would confuse our sensors. And Data just reconfigures the sensors to be able to read through the interference,
which I find a bit funny, because you think, why isn't the ship always detecting stuff?
Thinking about that. Yeah.
Like, it's literally a beep, beep, beep. Oh, we can detect them now. Well, have that all the time. Like, I know you wouldn't necessarily think...
Just make that one of the next sensor upgrades, guys.
Yeah, just it rotates through frequency. You have it one of the frequencies. But I mean, I assume the way that he orders... I thought this going in, that and it says Wesley go to a certain orbit, so I'm guessing you have to be in a certain position.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So it's not like a default thing. You have to actively do it. But it's a bit funny. But it's such a simple trick and effective. They must be in orbit, because now they're in orbit with so it is an asteroid in orbit, because now they're tractoring in orbit. Okay.
Yeah. So they move to polar orbit. They tractor the ship, and
terrible
then he
scaling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they basically he does a suicide run. He heads towards the ship, and then bounces off the shields, which is kind of neat. It's a neat visual, but kind of a dumb idea. But that being said, he's not on the ship after that because they scan it. He's no longer in the drive section. If they find a small little escape pod, but still no life readings. So,
which would have been
nice.
A cool
little visual.
The thing is, it's a great little story plot. There's no life signs. He should have warned them. Like the president. It's like, Ali has no life signs. Just FYI.
Well, that would start raising questions like, oh, really? Why? How is that a thing? Why? Well, because he was in our military, and that's part of the training. Oh, so tell us exactly what he was trained with, special ops or whatever, so we know what we're dealing with. It would just start that snowball rolling of questions.
It is very, very true, but then how they expect them, the only reason they didn't attack the reason they're less prepared is because they have the second of weakness of saying, well, there's nothing in there. If they know there is someone in there regardless. I
mean, the president guy could have assumed that the Federation, since it's more advanced, might be able to detect his life signs.
Sure.
So why bring it up unless it becomes an issue?
Which it was.
Don't volunteer too much information. That's always what the best policy in most cases.
And obviously, it's their job to succeed or fail. They're smart enough to deal with it.
But
yeah, this bump maneuver I like as well because he does a couple of things. He turns the ship a little bit, which in itself is quite interesting. You can do that in tractor beam. It should stop your momentum, but hey ho, I can still buy that happening. And then because it detects is now coming towards the ship, the computer automatically turns off the tractor beam, like a safety protocol, and then turns on the shields. So he outthinks the basic program of the ship, which is interesting. And I'm guessing he programmed the trajectory to bounce as well, because if it got destroyed, then because it might go off in a distance, because it's better to maybe try and beam it aboard and say, hey, anything in this craft, then it'd be destroyed on the... I
would almost want it destroyed, though, as more of a tactic, because then it's like, oh, yeah, the guy, if he was on board, must have been killed. But
then the suicide maneuver, and why would he commit suicide that quickly? So I think, there's... I think validates the idea that the race is more advanced than they're led to believe, because the fact that it can survive a shield impact implies it has shield, it has dirt, it has dirt, it has dirt. Pretty advanced actually.
Yeah. They find the escape pod and they tell Chief O'Brien to lock onto anything the size of a humanoid, which he does, and he reports that he's holding him in stasis in the transporter beam. An illicit weapon has been detected, but it's been deactivated. Mm-hmm. Which is important in a second. Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, he's not deactivated, rendered inoperable is the exact wording, which I love. So they send security down there. Security says, okay, let him out. And
two very unequipped looking, non-strong looking people. No offense to them, but Neo's actors resonate anything like strength to me.
No authority.
No authority at all. Like O'Brien looks more authoritative. No offense to
them. Well, yeah, and he kind of takes some action here. So the two guys point the phasers at him. They go to stun him.
No warning, pretty much. They just go straight to stun.
Hit him. He pulls up his gun, and I assume he goes to fire and realizes it's not activated, because in a second he throws it and jumps on the both of them. And I didn't really notice the first time that he raised his weapon to fire. I thought he just threw it. And I'm like, why are you throwing your weapon without? But they get knocked to the ground, and Chief O'Brien goes to step in. I love how the one guy slides across the transporter pad too. Yeah. They wrestle him out to the corridor, and it's obvious stunt double is obvious. You know how it is.
Yeah.
It's clearly not the guy. O'Brien gets a good shot in with the weapons that the security had, so obviously just set for stun, because it doesn't really do much to him. Yeah. And it's actually a pretty good scene. And then O'Brien gets stunned, which, again, it's not a heavy stun, because even O'Brien's up in a minute. It's basically like just take care of you for
we saw that last week with them stunned, or last episode, which we did, where they stunned a dude, and the same scene, he's fine. He's walking off, within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes, 1 minute.
They probably feel like a punch to the shoulder or something.
Yeah,
as far as
it's like a riot gun beanbag. Like, god damn, why? Oh, I should probably stop.
And I love how Worf sticks his head out and looks for a second.
Yeah,
a little too long actually, and then starts running, and tackles the guy. Gets him down, and then Riker's like, set your phaser to high stun, and then they have to hold up the phaser, lean it towards camera, beep, 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 to show off the hero prop with the lights that change.
It happened last week too.
And Riker's staring at it. Just so awkward.
That's where the budget's going. I can see it. It has LEDs. There aren't LEDs yet.
It's still pretty impressive. It's a cool prop.
Oh, it's a great looking prop.
Yeah. They're getting their money's worth out of it because I used it last episode too.
It is
2 episodes ago because of the Defector.
Yeah, for us last episode. It is definitely a pretty good scene, and it's what a great introduction to the character. Like, talk about showing rather than talking. I mean, it is all on screen here. I mean, obviously, they aren't trying to stop him with the full force of their arsenal. Like you said, no heavy stun. So it's still a little bit but it's showing that they were not prepared. They're not used to this sort of high-end force, which I thought was pretty cool, actually.
Mm-hmm. So he's ordered to get taken to a detention cell. And then the next scene, they're talking to the president again, who says the prison psychiatrist recommends that you keep him fully sedated until he's ready to transport. And Picard's like, he's in our highest security. I think we're good. He's like, all right, well, just be careful. Don't let your guard down for a second. And then they talk about the life signs. No life signs detected. And he's in there. Computer, who's in the brig? Well, the brig is currently empty.
Yeah, they're a bit slow to rise.
Which is a nice touch.
Oh, it is. But they're a bit slow to rise. He has no life signs. And this is the first time we're seeing the brig? Since watching chronological order, I don't think we've seen it yet. I don't remember seeing it yet. Because Iborg, but that's after this. Because we skipped we skipped in our...
It might be chronologically the first,
yeah. Because it's definitely an Iborg, but...
I love how they say he's capable of deceiving the sensors. Is he an android? And Data's like, that's racist. No, our sensors can detect androids, you jackass.
Except in a few years when they look like humans.
Right.
The way he says androids is so quick. It's like, I guess they made Soji and Daj unandroidable scannable, even though they're still androids. Don't know. But quick shout out in the previous scene. Shout out to O'Brien for being really brave, but he's not a security officer. He's he is currently an enlisted officer, but he goes down in rank to unenlisted because of regular or different show.
Yeah.
So he's not security, he's a technician, but brave for him, knowing that these guys were beaten very quickly.
You got to think, too, transporter chiefs or transporter operators must be trained in security like that for that very thing, in case they have to beam somebody off something really quickly and possibility of violence like that. So he would have minimal training in that, I'm sure. So.
No, I can imagine. And a little shout out for silliness that the when the guy beams in, you can see his gun moving because they haven't didn't freeze frame it. He's blatantly not actually in stasis. He's moving, which I thought was a bit weird because it'd be easy just to still frame him. But hey ho.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Last thing, I was waiting when Worf gets him down, which again, it's a bit weird how Worf does sort of get him down, but he also seems to give up at the end, which is fine. But I thought when he does the stun up, I thought he was going to put it to his torso and shoot him, and we get a really nice close. I was really scared.
That'll kill you, as Star Trek 6 shows you. Stun at close range.
But I was expecting to see that, and I was disappointed by the fact I didn't get to see a really gangster. You got him, you know.
And then, okay, this is one of the problems I have with this episode.
Ooh, okay.
Troy's wandering down the corridor and whoa, and she just wanders into the brig without knowing the situation, what's going on. I find this kind of out of her role. So any violent person that's all suddenly in the brig, she's going to realize is terrified or whatever and go down there. I mean, it just seems like such a stupid thing. It just seems so dumb. I'm sorry. Without asking the captain what's going on, without, knowing the situation, because that's the feeling I get. She was just wandering down a corridor, and there's somebody in the brig that's in trouble. Oh, I'll go check. Like, no, wouldn't you just ask what the hell is going on first, and maybe go in with a security guy? It just seems odd. She would stroll into the brig.
There, to be fair, we see him very subtly in the background behind her.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's kind of stupid.
I know what you mean, but I didn't get that from it because so this guy's a very odd chap. First of all, and we got on about his basically split personality traits in a little bit. But Troi says he senses fear and anger and stuff when he's sleeping because that's a different part of his brain. And he's giving off both massively mean, aggressive, violent tendencies and also massively peaceful. And so suddenly his presence comes aboard that is genetically modified to be Khan-like, basically. And it's like, whoa, this personality is now absolutely strong. What the hell? It's kind of nowhere. And I heard, because obviously he had to get transported from there to here, so she's sort of got a vague sense of his personality, but suddenly it's shifted so radically with the sleep pattern, and then it goes away. So she's like, what the hell? What is happening to this guy to have such a internal struggle? Is he being hurt? Is he whatever? I'm so confused. I know he's in, since I'm the counselor, I've heard he's in, Worf has walked by me with him, so I know he's in, or computer locate the prisoner who you can't detect. And then she goes, knowing that it's full security, and as they said, this is the most secure place. So, this is the most secure log. So she's not going to feel scared about him being there. So he's such an interesting mental person compared to the crew that really stands out, and she has to react. So I don't have a problem with that.
No, I get that, but it kind of bugs me a little bit.
Sure.
Not a big deal. Not enough to make it unappealing to me, but
yeah, I just find her dialogue in the scene. Often she's just like, what? How? Who? Yeah. Then it cuts to him, and he's so good in these scenes.
He is good, yeah. I love the whole, you'll be taken back there. You're terrified of that. Did they mistreat you there? No, they treat me really well, but it's, it's not being able to leave.
Yeah.
They take good care of their prisoners. It's just a matter of never being able to leave.
He's so measured and thoughtful and interesting, and you don't quite...
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to think. You don't know how to think who he is. But as they keep going through, you're like, oh, he is this lovely guy, really, sort of. Yeah.
Although he does say, when she said you're terrified of returning, he's like, well, I did kill 3 people to escape.
Yep.
But earlier they said 2 people. They could have killed another one, I guess. But
one could have died of injuries.
Accurate. Oh yeah. Or accurate reports, because it was kind of a kerfluffle.
Because you got the sense he effed up, because he didn't just break a door and shoot some people. He probably blew up a portion, and then some died of internal injuries and stuff.
Well, I love how he messes with her a little bit.
Yep.
Why your anger with me? A girl with long dark hair broke my heart, so I turned to crime. Or how about my mother abandoned me? Isn't that what all you mind control experts do? Is play games? It's good.
So charismatic, and it fits so well because he's no longer in his aggression mindset. He's back in peace, so he's just a guy who feels safe in his own thing, but also feels confident he can escape. So he's just waiting for his moment. That's what every strategy is. It's learning everything, and God, it's interesting. It's a good performance, and it's all on him. If this was someone else, it wouldn't work. As in, he's having to take control of these scenes. We learn a lot about his personality from this one scene. So in terms of introducing a character, spot on.
Yeah.
Right up there.
I hate his tattoo.
Oh, I love his tattoo.
I mean, it's a cool idea, but it looks like it was drawn by somebody in high school doing I don't know, just highlighter, pen.
Yeah, I always assumed it was alien markings, but I guess the other guy doesn't have it, so he is tattoos, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be like a regiment or a battalion symbol or or rank. I don't know, but it's cool. It's not up to the standards what it should be for a tattoo. Sure. I think it looks drawn on. So
sure, yeah, I can see that.
Dementia, puts in $2. Maybe they could reconfigure it, but a trade-off.
Scanners to detect him.
Oh, yes, maybe. And Area 51, $2. Hey. Try not to fall in love with this one, okay, Deanna? Well, she kind of does. I mean, the next scene.
It is amazing how quickly they agree with him, or on his side. It's very quick. Yeah.
The next scene's in the ready room. She's talking to Picard, and she's like, "There's a duality about the man.
Yeah.
He's aware of his crimes, and they trouble him deeply. He's essentially has a non-violent personality."
Which feels so strange to hear after everything.
And Picard's
it makes sense.
Picard's like, "Did you hear what he did?" She says, "I sense something unusual about him, something that is not inherent to a criminal personality."
Yep.
This is good. I mean, this is what a counselor should be doing.
Yep.
Talking to the captain, telling them what's going on.
Well, because they're being told to just blindly give somebody, you know.
It's not the jurisdiction though, which Picard points out later, and so does the president. You're treading very close to security, issues.
But we had the exact same thing in Voyager where they transport some criminals and they realize, oh wait, they've all been mentally destroyed. I mean, there's it's like it's
one of those moral things, right?
Well, that's why it's a moral story, and also about veterans and not mistreating them, and it's a good it's a good wholesome episode that isn't trying to hit you over the head with the moral, but it's obviously there. It's about something important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Deanna wants to know what he's done. So she goes out and talks to Data and said, "Can we pull up his police reports? I want to see what he did."
Nope.
There are no police reports on files. Luna 5 is a military facility. He's a soldier. And then we go on to find out he achieved a very respectable rank, very honorable tour of duty. So he's not like... things are starting to look a little weird here. Now, having no police record, I get, especially if it's military-based. But they didn't really do a search for any military crime records.
We assume it'd be on his permanent military record.
Yeah, but it's never mentioned.
But that's the point. There is none. He didn't do any crime. That's why it feels off. Because I also thought during it, I was like, so was he classified?
But he did do crime. He did war crimes, probably.
Well, yes, but for the side of the people that sent him. But I thought instantly, I was trying to remember, is it classified? Is he off record? Did he do something too bad? He has to be squirreled away. He's like, nope, didn't do anything wrong. Which is I think that's a really good reveal. Like, he literally didn't do a single crime. He was put there basically to retire, forcibly. We'll get there in a little bit. But it was like, okay, that's an unexpected twist. And you can tell they're like, so he didn't do anything, but he's killed 3 people to escape from a prison that... What?
Yeah.
It's a good build. It's a good build. And they know he's capable, so they believe he can do bad things, but they also know he's not innately violent. So this is not lining up at all.
Maybe he just deleted his records before he escaped the facility.
Hey, possibly, yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah.
You catch me again, it's like, oh, yeah, I escaped the security. So what's the term on that? 5 years? All right, cool. Oh, I don't have any other records, so you can't hold me for anything else, dickheads.
But I was at your trial. Nope, no records. Didn't happen. But
nothing official. Just your memory. Doesn't work. She goes down to talk to him again, and says, "What did you do?" And I love his response. "I did everything they asked me to. That's why I'm such a threat." Find out he volunteered for the military. He joined the military to fight for the Angosian way of life.
Which is about peace and science and nice stuff.
Which makes me think it's another planetary system. Because the Angosians are the planet, the people on the planet. So, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it'd have to be. It'd have to be, I think.
So he went through intensive psychological manipulation and intense biochemical modifications. Hence why no life readings or whatever, right? He's been basically programmed to be the perfect soldier. So when a danger is perceived, a switch goes off in his mind, and he'll do anything to survive. Basically after the war, and this is where the Vietnam vet analogy comes in, they couldn't fit in, the soldiers. A lost temper could result in murder, and they were ordered.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, they were ordered to Luna 5. Basically, forced retirement, as you said, or like a gulag. Picard even makes that reference. Gulag is the Russian prison. So, no one attempted to adjust their programming. So
no, it's
a good scene.
Yeah, and again, he portrays it well because there isn't a I'm not saying generic, but there isn't a standard horror behind his eyes look, because I think in his brain, like there's two sides of him. Yes, he is the one killing people, but he's not sad about the war stuff, and it was him in a heightened state. Kind of reminds me of Bane in the animated, where he then goes on the toxin stuff to increase his strength. So it's him, and then suddenly he's him extra. It's him plus. And I'm sure that's what keeps it tempered, because obviously Noonien Khan was better in every way. including the ego and the sense of superiority. But that was a full-time modification, whereas this chap, only when threatened, then his intelligence gets heightened, his speed, which we learn later, is absurdly fast, which we don't get to see because I don't think they could re-represent it properly, but very fast, very strong, very, beats up Worf, so very
cunning.
Strong, very cunning, with a tactical mind. So it's situational, which I love, because always you can imagine you get lost in it, but you know that it's always there inside you, because he says, I can still feel the other me there, it's still me. I just can never escape the, oops, triggered. Oh no, and now I'm suddenly this war machine. So it's a really interesting way of doing it that yeah.
Somebody cuts him off in traffic and he just fucking annihilates them.
Rips the car, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. And then they go to the briefing room, and basically this is where they're talking about, she tells them everything that she's learned, and they're like, well, did they try, reversing the programming? And Beverly kind of chimes in and says that might not be possible, but there are the biochemical things they could remove, but it might not have any effect on the psychological aspect of things. So not much is in this scene.
No, there isn't. Well, it's just doubling down, so we know it all laid out. And it is true. There's so many layers to this, but it's too much in one go. I was hoping that Beverly would say we can save him potentially.
We can look into it at least.
But I get the sense that while they're not a Federation of warp-capable species, they have a genuine sense of technology, and in this regard, they're very advanced. So it's actually on a level closer to us or to them than it should be. So it's like, this is really advanced stuff. I can't. I'm not even going to try and make promises that I can't keep, because this is seriously interwoven with the guy.
Plus, they're in talks with the Federation to become a member. And they're not yet a member world, so how much influence or whatever can they have? Considering this is something that just happened off the cuff as they were kind of there talking about application. It's still very much their matter.
And I get the strong sense that if they were going to make this a two-parter or progress it, they would have had a conversation about the only way I can know for sure is actually getting him into sickbay to go on the big scanner, because I've only used a tricorder, which barely works on him. Which also brings up the question, how could you scan him if they can't detect his biosigns? Who knows? But definitely she can't get him... Like, she never got him to sickbay for a scan. He would have tried to escape. So there is limitation of what they could even try with him, because he's so advanced. I would have loved a moment where they said, we tried to sedate him, and it took lethal levels, and I'm not, as a doctor, I'm not okay with that. Therefore explaining why they can't just sedate him. Again, it's not important. This only takes place in like half a day. But it's, there's other little bits you can infer from this. Yeah.
Next scene's great. Data goes down to visit him and says, I believe we have something in common. And he's like, oh? Well, first he asks why you have yellow eyes. I'm an android.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, we have something in common. We've both been programmed.
Yep.
And he says, the man I was is still in here.
Yeah.
But you can't separate the program from the man. And is this the scene? I think it's later, actually, where he says he's killed 84 times. His enhanced reflexes a lot. I think it's later, actually.
Yes, with Troi, isn't it? That was with Troi.
No, it's with Data. It's with Data, because he says my enhanced reflexes allow me to kill 84 times, and my enhanced memory lets me remember every one of those faces.
It's this scene then, because he says, "How do you feel?"
But I didn't write that down, and that's something I know I wrote down. So the next scene's the ready room. So I think there might be another scene with Data. Anyway. Oh yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up. There's my note there. So it's after the next scene.
Oh, before the captain walks in. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a short bit of Data. But this is a fun pairing, and I like the Data, because Ed didn't need to say hi. There's no reason except his curiosity of we've both been programmed. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? It's good. It's a nice way of taking it.
Yeah, and you find, are you programmed to kill Android? No, but my programming does include military strategies. That's how I was able to anticipate your...
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, so you might be better at that than you think. Because you were the one that caught me, so congrats. Like, there's a level of respect there,
Yeah, and he's not mean about... I mean, Data's an unusual person, to say the least.
Yeah.
But he also says... something I forgot, but something positive about Data as you did well, son, you did well, but brain fart there. And guys, please do super chat if you want. We've had under 5 or under 6 already, which is pretty low for us. 8 Pill watching. I know we're a bit early today, so hopefully people will join in later on. But guys, super chat, we rely on them to live, and we've got 2 more days of this month. So any last bit to help the channel will be useful.
And hit like, guys. That's an important thing.
Then we get Babe the president.
So yeah, we're talking to him in the ready room. We find out the soldiers are resettled to Luna 5. It was to be their colony.
He does confess, when pushed.
But he says they were resettled, and it was to be their colony, not a prison. Yep. To which Picard says even the most comfortable of prisons is still a prison. And then, unfortunately, a few agitators among them forced us to include security. So he's kind of blaming them for having it become a prison, essentially.
I mean, it's an interesting idea. They are so broken that it's safer to give them a facility, which is some level of okay, nice, cool. And as we say later on, they're fully fed, it's a fine life. But then one bad apple ruins it. But and as the guy says later, we need a purpose. Being is not enough. Existing is not enough. So just sitting around, it would have been nice to have heard like some other little caveat to the colony was there for like 7 years without instant, and suddenly there was one, and they lost like 44 guards because it suddenly went from 0 to 100. So one instant, the entire place turned into guarded security, and it was like because they're so on a dime, And this guy's relatively balanced, as we see. He doesn't really go overboard, but other people might be way more about it.
Yeah, and I like that one incident thing because there's soldiers. So once one acts, the other ones are going to fall in line and to help out, and it's just part of their training. So that would make sense for one incident to deaths and warrant that, right?
Yeah, especially if
Tenchi.
The level of aggression is to be varied. So like the general is even more wow when he's like, right, men, we're now in a fight. Go do this. Go do this. Yeah.
Tenchi 2K7 $5. Cochrane got all sneaky as a politician in his later years. LOL. Yes.
With the moustache, gives him all the sneak he ever needed. Thank you. That's awesome.
And Matthew K puts in $10 Canadian. I just got here, just to hear the commander ask for super chat. So here.
Thank you.
Dun, dun, dun. Thank you.
Much appreciated. That's awesome. Thank you.
But the scene goes on to say, Picard's like, my medical team has assured me that there are ways to fix this problem. Has anybody attempted to do so? And then he gets kind of shut down politically. I'm afraid this is treading dangerously close to internal security, and this is not your concern. To which kind of ends the call, and then Picard's like, internal security. Like, goddamn politicians.
Yeah, so what's that? The not the fascist, but the way that the governments keep you down, sort of thing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
As we know, once the terrorism stuff happened, the laws were used for so many things that they were not designed for. So as soon as a government has a power, they'll use it and abuse it. And that's why you shouldn't give them all power, because they will abuse it, because it's not them. It's made of different people.
Yeah. Dementia throws in $5.
Thank you.
It's one of those episodes where no clear moral answer exists. There is no inherent bad actor, only people doing their best.
Well, we'll get there. That's the end to discuss. That's going to be a whole thing. I'm not sure the end works particularly well, but we'll get there.
yeah. So this is the scene where they say, my programming includes military strategy. My improved reflexes have allowed me to kill 84 times, and my improved memory lets me remember every one of those 84 faces. Can you understand how that feels? Well, I'm an android. I have no feelings. I'm incapable of any feeling. He says, then I envy you.
Yep. It's a poetic way of saying all that, because he doesn't, the way he says, I killed that many people, the way he says it, his tone is like...
Well, he's got no peace. Sure, he's in a comfortable facility on this Luna 5, like they treat him well, but every night he has to go to sleep with the memory of these 84 people that he killed, and it's guilt-ridden. It's not like he can forget them easily. So I love it. He's never at peace. So that's why they need a purpose. They just don't want to exist.
They can't stew in their memories. Hey, they can justify what they did, maybe, sure, but I guarantee it was never part of the pamphlet. We'll give you enhanced strength and abilities and strength, and remember every person you kill. into the long night. They'll give you nightmares. It's 150 years because you'll live longer too. They're like, what?
Well, they mentioned that later. Did they get informed on all the possible side effects of this? Or were they told this beforehand when they volunteered? They weren't conscripted. They weren't forced into the military. They volunteered for the military, which makes it even worse. So
I think the political side of this was really well thought through. Like, there's lots of little lovely levels here. Obviously, this is all the setup, isn't it, to the big escape, or the great escape, you might say. And we'll talk about if that makes sense or not. But it's definitely good. And there's one little brief thing, I think was in the other scene, but I guess we skipped over it. That Data, he says thank you for some reason, and then he smiles. Or like, you should be proud of that. Thank you, I am. Like, he does show some sort of emotion. But it could just be a reciprocal emotion rather than really feeling it. He knows that's a social cue, but he absolutely smiles. Again, could be a smile for Data. But there's a weird he says like, "Thank you, I appreciate that," and it's like, what? that's emotion surely. But I think he's just socially doing it. But yes, then Picard walks in, which this has a certain gravitas. This moment, 'cause like he has come to see for himself. Like when he came to see Hugh, it's like. This is no longer a little thing. Whereas last episode, I had complaints that why is Picard so involved in this race's thing? It feels weirdly, but this has power because he's not involved, and then he is directly like, oh, this means something. This is how it should be played.
Yeah. But Picard says, we're returning you to Angosian security. There's nothing I cannot refuse, just based on the situation. And the other guy says, well, that makes sense. There's no place for me in a civilized society. I am dangerous. And Picard's like, well, my officers feel otherwise, and I value their insight. If there's anything I can do for you, if something comes up, I will. And he goes, I must use whatever means I can to escape. Despite my overwhelming need for survival, I would rather die than return to Luna 5.
Yeah.
So.
And he says it's so matter of fact, and very much like the challenge of, and please
try to kill me if I escape.
Kill me, stop me. You do you, I'll do me. We both, it's like two fighters on a battlefield shaking hands before they start shooting. It's like, it's gonna happen. I'm just wanting out. I'm going to do this, and it's good. And you can see Picard's like, oh, I don't like this, and the guy's like, I don't like it either. No one likes it. But it feels earned. It feels genuinely earned. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this one.
So Angosian security ship has arrived. It looks like a little mini Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, it does. It's the same model, obviously, but they shoot it differently to look different. But yeah, it's the same.
So they're going to be transferring him over. Picard asked if all the security protocols are in place, and Worf's like, yes, there'll be a 0.1 second difference between the lowering of the force field in the brig to the activation of the transporter. And Riker's like, he's not that fast.
Would you think is a setup he is that fast, but he isn't. But it's just like, he is 0.1 second fast?
Here's where we get stupid, because the force field goes down, the transporter activates, and then for some reason he's got magical transporter abilities. Like he pushes his hand out of the transporter, and then he pushes both hands out, and all of a sudden the transporter beam explodes, but yet he doesn't dematerialize. He doesn't get put into like nothingness. He just ends up in a different part of the ship somehow.
But he also notes that someone hasn't got a phaser in the room, implying that he nicked a phaser.
Yeah, but that's later. Like when
No, that's this scene. He's like, and he's got a phaser. He's armed. And it's like,
the phaser is missing. We must assume that he's armed. Yeah, that's after the beam blows up, though. So assuming that he transported somewhere else, grabbed a phaser.
Yeah, but it's before we see him beam somewhere else. It's in the same scene. So how do you know where? There's no. He hasn't moved yet. It's in the same scene. So how do they know a phaser's missing and where from?
Who says it?
Worf.
Before the beam out happens?
No. Right after the beam out, before we cut to him somewhere else, implying that there's a phaser from this room stolen, because how else we know 15 seconds later? Yeah.
If that's the case, okay, that might make a little more sense. He got out of his cell, got a phaser, went back into his cell after reprogramming this thing to allow the transporter beam to be redirected somewhere else. Because
Well, I assumed. Well, continuing on this line before I jump back for a second, I assumed that he didn't beam anywhere because that wouldn't work because that's not how that. I assumed that the transporter beam explosion was like a flashbang and is actually bigger than we think. So he manages to. Everyone's like deaf and can't see, and ran out the door, and so you couldn't hear it. And therefore, as soon as he runs down the corridor, it's fine. But they are completely blinded by this, and they can't. That's my only assumption, because then he grabs a phaser as well. That's how they know. They just don't know where he is at that point because he's gone, but they don't know because he could have been destroyed. So when they see a phaser, like, oh no, he has got a phaser. We must go after him.
That's asinine. The whole breaking the transporter beam is annoying.
Yeah. Now see.
And first of all, he's got such a good knowledge of Federation tech, as we're going to find out in a minute, which really pisses me off. I assume that it's because of the rig, and they give him all the reading materials he needs. Like, here's the whole
that's Picard, Stuart. That doesn't happen.
I know. They didn't learn from that. So they gave the Borg a power outlet, for God's sakes. So maybe they gave him anything he wanted, and he read up on the specs because he can fucking figure out everything on the ship.
So, Data, yes, prisoner, yes, Roger. Just while I'm in here, do you have any read material on how the transporters work? Oh, of course.
And where's Shuttle Bay 2? And how many Jeffries tubes are there? And where do they go?
Which power boxes destroyed disabled sensors across the ship? Yeah.
If the cargo transporter's down, is there a way to power it? A phaser, you say? Oh, how would I do that?
Well, that'd been a great scene later on if Picard's like, how did he know? And he's like, and it flashes back to him asking the questions. He's like, I have no idea, sir. Shit, should have told him everything he asked. I was just being polite. God damn it, no. Okay, back to transporter for a second, Stuart. We'll get to that in a minute. So, my assumption, I think we've already established they have more advanced tech than implied. Like, they imply more. So these are not... They're more advanced than most people. Now, his body is full of special drugs. Beverly's a huge amount. So my assumption is that he knows he's in danger. He's able to trigger them, and that allows him to mess up the transporter. Because how important would that be as a skill, as a soldier on a battlefield, if the enemies have transporter beams, to not be able to detect it and to be able to not be beamed because he can flood his body with certain radiation thing. Super useful. He does it. And so he's like, as his body is undestabilizing, it's dumb how he puts his hands out, I agree, it is silly. But I like the idea that he can destabilize transporter signature. I just wish Brian had said that. Like, the signal's stabilizing, and then the safety protocols jump in and he unbeamed, like he de-beams. Like, that would have been a natural 1, 2, 3 rather than what we get.
Yeah, well, it's never clear that he was just gone after the explosion. So it's like he disappeared or he beamed somewhere else, which doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I can't make it make sense that he moved the beam somewhere else. I can't put that in.
No, but that's the feeling that you get, especially if you don't think it through very much. Now, it would have been cool if they had said that he's got some implants as well in his bones or something, that they're not sure what they're for, like the transport inhibitors or energy disruptors or whatever, that they thought were deactivated or whatever, or they look like they were benign, and then this was the reason for the transporter thing.
Now, going back to how can they scan him if he doesn't give off signals, right? Maybe the only reason Beverly knows about the drugs is because she got that from the records, from the military records, but that only goes so far into the campaign. He was then augmented even further, because we never see him being scanned, so I can buy that they never scan him because they just can't, and so he's got other things, like he'll upgrade even further to be transport inhibitor, basically. I get there is little jumps that you have to make, but there are ways around it, and yeah, the exploding transporter is a stupid little moment that if you're going to do it, have them all be knocked out, right?
So you don't know what happened. Yeah, exactly.
And then you wake up and he's gone, and it's like, what happened? All of our phasers are gone. Oh, okay, he escaped, but he had a good... That would have been much better, especially as this is the most secure transport they can do when everyone's looking at it and there's security guards. Yeah, the first bit, it can make sense, but it's not shown to make sense, and that's a slight problem.
Yeah. Dementia puts in $2.
Thank you.
Transporter Taekwondo, ancient and Gojian martial art.
Yeah.
And Justin Hampton, $10. Thank you very much. Hey guys, doing better. Got work now.
Good.
A gift to you. This was a good episode. Like how he kicked Worf's butt. How you good hit like make what? Chef Jacobs. Oh, how you good hit like make Jeff Jacobs pay. Wow, that was a tongue twister. And Cochrane was more fun. Puts in $1.49 with a birthday cake sticker. Well, thank you very much, Jill, for the birthday cake sticker. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Nitpicking Nerd says, why not put force fields in all corridors? Even Discovery times they could do that. I mean, how could you move your security teams? I mean,
well, hold on. Yeah.
Because they can't detect where he is, and you know that would be putting up 7,000 security force fields, and I'm sure that would be. I mean, that's a lot of force field energy. I'm sure that actually causes a power drag. It's impractical, and then you couldn't find him, and if he's good at escaping, I mean, there are ways.
Yeah. We find out here that power gets returned to Shuttle Bay 2.
What? No, not yet.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Hold on.
They turn off turbolifts, but then, because that's a standard procedure, they turn back on to say, we'll trick him into using the lift.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you won't. Why would you think that?
So he gets in, because he sees one of the security guards, gets into turbolift, and like, we got him. All right, put him somewhere near Worf. And the door's open. There's a phaser on overload. And the one security guy is a pussy.
But will not walk away from the explosion.
Yeah. Worf deactivates it.
It's very easily, but that's okay. These are things that are meant to be, weapons, and it was a distraction, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. So dude goes and knocks out the security guard near the force field, and I
love
terrible.
This. He doesn't see him.
Yes.
It's terrible.
I love this though. He uses his own hand.
Yep.
The guard's hand to hit his communicator, because you gotta think they're DNA activated, or fingerprint readers.
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't register a red flag at that point. Yeah.
But then he says, "Drop force field
on deck 38."
Deck 38. It's like, there's only one of them. What? Deck 38, section what? Like, and first of all, how did you know you were on deck 38? How do you know the layout of a Galaxy class ship when you're not a member of the Federation? You've been on this Luna base. Again, did you study the schematics while you were in the brig?
I mean, you ask questions like that. This is where Khan was done better, because he was given all the information like a dumbass.
Yes. Yeah.
But assuming the guy escaped the room, assuming that the whatever the people are called also have computer interfaces similar, I'm sure he could find a computer interface or just press one of the walls
just
instinctively.
The wall panels.
But he wouldn't necessarily know that unless he thinks to. And then he could either ask the computer. He could. I'm sure there are deck numbers somewhere in the corridors. Like, it would be useful because all the corridors are the same. So I'm sure there's somewhere a deck number that you could visibly see.
And why is it deck 38? Deck 38 is like one of the it's bottom of the engineering hall.
Yeah, it's a very low decks at this episode.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest problem with this episode, I think. The fact that he just knows how everything works. Like, he goes to engineering. How does he know what engineering is? How does he know how to get into engineering? How does he know the Jeffries tube exist? Oh, to be fair, he finds MSD, you can probably see things on it at this point. But to know how to double back and go to engineering is like, how would you know it's there? Like, you don't luckily find the source of power for the ship.
I love how he's knocked out everybody in engineering. And this is where power gets returned to Shuttle Bay 2.
Yep.
And we find out...
Stuart, how does he know how to use isolinear chips? And in the correct order?
I don't know. See?
Don't
start with me. Don't start with me, son.
Because he also does it smarter than Data.
Yeah.
He outsmarts Data at isolinear chips, which I thought was very impressive.
Yeah, it gets into a Jeffries tube, and then Worf shows up in engineering. Everybody's just waking up conveniently at the right time.
Doesn't the guy on this the thing look so hilarious?
Yeah.
You can tell like an idiot, just like, all right, just lie on that. It's fine. Just you're phasered. You fell face forward, just lie on it and wake up. It's fine. He's like, this looks stupid. Yeah,
so we find out that Shuttle Bay 2 is 25 decks above engineering. That's where he's on his way to, because the power is returned to Shuttle Bay 2.
It might be. It might be.
Well, yeah, and then
There's
later we
not
find
many
out he's
decks
on.
above.
Later we find out he's on deck 15, which is 2 decks below Shuttle Bay 2. So, and they actually point that out.
And they do explicitly say though that he can do turbolifts quickly. Like he can obviously climb ladders really quick. So they do explicitly, because there is that weird jump. He does go between the decks very, very quickly. But again, super, super fast. I mean, he says he got, Joy says he took us all out. So I don't know, a guy could run that. Didn't know a guy could go that fast.
And I love Worf's like, we got all the shuttle bays are being guarded, and Geordi is, my advice, double it. It's like, wow.
Funny. Well, yeah. It's funny. I like it. It's good. Also, we get introduced to the full person Jeffries tubes, which are obviously more service corridors than Jeffries tubes because they're not Jeffries tubes. I mean, they're probably Jeffries, but they're not standard-sized ones. I gotta say, I appreciate the use of a single set that they sort of film differently each time we see it, so it does have a certain sense of progression, which really is easily not done because it's the same exact set. Yeah, one thing I don't like about this chase is that the Enterprise crew is reactionary the entire time. They have no progressive steps. They don't ever try and get him, except at the start where they disable stuff. They're always just reacting to what he does. Now, that could be because it only takes place in a few minutes. Like, it could be so quick they can't react. But it feels very like he's doing something, they're reacting, and playing to his rule book or his hand.
A little bit maybe, but Picard does say, seal off decks 37 through 39, just keep them contained kind of thing. So there's a little bit.
That's reacting to knowing he's in those decks. There's no like.
True.
How do we find? Can you work out how to find him in the sensors? They would never say that. There's no, but obviously it's also just like a rat in a maze trying to narrow it down, isn't it? Like you can trap him at some point.
Yeah. Jeff Jacobs, $2. Here's for 50. Now let's get our 100. Oh, he said it guys. Right. I was prepared to say hundy. Hashtag make Jeff pay.
Yeah.
Guys. So yeah, it's highly likely.
89. One more likes. 100 likes. Come on.
100 likes. Let's do it. They say it's highly likely he's heading to Shuttle Bay 2, and the whole time I'm thinking, no, it's not.
Because how would you escape in a shuttle? Like, it's not a good plan. You've got phasers, torpedoes, tractor beams. Never escape in a shuttle. You will not escape if you escape in a shuttle.
So now he's on deck 38, heading for cargo bays. So make sure all the cargo bays are empty on deck 38. Get everybody out of there. Is everybody out of there? Well, before that, though, he plants the phaser in the box thing.
He literally goes up to deck 15 just to plant this to go back down. To make him think they're going to the shuttle bay and then not. And it's a nice ploy, actually. It's a good little thing. And because he keeps making people think he's going somewhere else, they never check back here. Because, as he says, the leading breadcrumbs, they can detect when panels are open, which is useful. I wish they had that ability more often. Because that would be a really useful ability if he could do that all the time, but guess not. And Data's like, I don't think he's doing this, sir. Don't know what he's doing, but I don't think he is. Which is good.
Yeah, well, that comes up later where he says that. Because right now, he's in the cargo bay. There's no power to the transporter console, so he wires up the phaser. And that's when the Picard orders that the cargo bays be flooded with anesthetizing gas, which is a great idea.
Yep. But since they have no tester on how much it'll take to incapacitate him,
yeah, I know.
Bit of a crapshoot, and Riker's, that'll be enough to get him. It's like, you don't know that.
Yeah, the look on Riker's face, like, I could kill a mule.
Yeah, well, yeah. They should have said that, like, Captain, how much do? 3 times normal, really? Yes.
And then, conveniently, here's where the convenience things come. He pushes the little button on the thing to open the panel, which, whatever, didn't need to be done. It's a sticker, but that's okay. Pulls out the suit, conveniently enough.
Yes.
Which, again, you can see is a red herring coming a mile away, but whatever.
But it is a nice, like, they do so many things you're thinking about. Like, it's thinking every step. Even if you can see
what are the odds that those are there? What are the odds that he opened that cargo container? How did he know what was in that cargo container? It just seems really weird because he wasn't rifling through stuff. He went straight to that one, pulled out a suit.
I mean, everything's labelled, all the boxes, so he knows that he's not going to be affected by the neurozine for a little while, more than a few minutes, presumably. They're going to wait, because how long it takes to build up the atmosphere? At least, let's say, 3 minutes. So he's going to start running around looking. He's quicker and smarter, so he can see things. He sees, this is where they are, opens it, grabs them. I mean, it's
odd that they're there. It's odd that they're there. I love how I gotta say this, I love that when you like an episode, you'll just, like, defend it to the nines.
Well, no,
when I'm doing your side of it, like this is the plot hole, this is the convenience.
But I'm also answering it easily. Like it's
Oh
still,
no, I know.
still a problem, but I'm still saying, like, for me, I still, you know, he's a superhuman. It's like saying, how did Khan know this and this? Well, because he just saw them on thing, you know. I assume this is quite an important box in a cargo room. It was labelled. I mean, it's the only box that's actually full, the entire cargo bay. We see later on, they all bounce on Worf.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dementia, $2. How much experience do they have in Borders, though? Huh? In Borders.
Oh, people board the ship.
Boarding parties.
That's true. Not a lot, I would assume. So yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah.
Justin Hampton, $2.
Thank
Guys hit like. Wasn't that Jeffrey's tube from Star Trek 5?
I thought that. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that exists yet.
Not yet.
No, so it was a reuse for there.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Olivia Julius, $5.
Thank you.
He's about to escape due to plot convenience. By the way, Samuel, check the Trekyards Facebook page messages.
Oh dear, that's never a good sign.
I don't think it has anything to do with what we're doing now. Just check it.
Well,
later.
no, I guess.
But then,
yeah, you know, no.
Worf and the two security. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, like I said, the plot hole is that there's he doesn't know how to use Federation tech. They needed a scene for that. So that's the biggest problem, because once you know he understands this stuff, then him finding stuff is like, well, you know, if he's smart enough, he could have asked the computer which cargo bay, you know, this, and this, and then he does provisos. You know.
Why would pressure chutes be in cargo bays unless they're being delivered to the ship? I think they'd be in storage lockers near like life pods and stuff, right?
Well, this is the spare set. I mean, you know, 7 of 9 has stuff in a cargo bay. Wait, that sounds dodgy. There are reserve supplies. This is a big ship, you know.
Yeah.
And they do make a point on this cargo bay being very full of stuff. Again, to fall on Worf, but it clearly feels like a really, really big cargo full of stuff.
That being said, that's why this next scene pisses me off. They walk in, one takes one side of the room, one takes the other, or takes the middle. They don't look behind anything. They just go straight. He's not here. There's no sign of the intruder. And but they didn't fucking look. They didn't look around things. They didn't go, like he was hiding underneath some cargo things, right? It's like, goddamn. Find out there's a machine pressure suit.
Yes.
And then Picard's like, well, maybe he's trying to get to the shuttle bay from the outside. So post guards at the airlocks on decks 37 and 38. And then Worf's like, yes, and also all the torpedo tubes. You might try to escape that way. To which the next scene is him underneath the box going, like he's sliding out, but it's like, yeah, it's a good idea, Mr. Worf, thanks. It's like, let's say it out loud when the guy still might be in the room. And I love how it's kind of turned around in a second where Worf hadn't left yet. Mm-hmm. But still, I think it's asinine the way that whole scene was done.
There's a conceit in these couple of scenes where time is sped up too much, because the gas to fill up a room of that size would take a little while, right? But it's played off as seconds, and then instantly they say get into the room, but it's like the gas is still in the room. It would take more than a few seconds to remove the gas, but it's played instantly. And then they search the room, it's played instantly. It would take more than a few seconds. So each of these moments are sped up, but the point is they all are. So you've got to accept if they did a full search, we just have no time to show on screen. Because of the editing, it follows that, unfortunately. But yeah, they're definitely not good security for sure. And I this room annoys me in a sense because, well, so you right before we cut to Riker, you see the alcove where the brig is. I think that door is they're hiding the alcove for the brig, which is kind of cool, because they only have so many rooms, and most of the big rooms are recycle rooms. So this is just their brig, but that means the set is only that much. It's that little wedge. But they have bigger sets later on that you would see like a big top shot, and you know, like I wish this was the shuttle base set, so you could see a big open room with lots of stuff. But you only see it from a corner, so you feel really small scale. In which case, as you said, just walk around it and see. It'd be easy. But if this was like a big room, it'd be more impressive. And I like Worf's gut, but he should have had the guards come right back in or something. Mr. Cocky. But he does get. I mean, come on, he does outsmart him though. Legitimately, this wasn't part of his plan. So, you know, genuine outsmarting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until a tiddly little explosion, which is because they don't want to hurt the set. It's a really pathetic little firecracker. I don't buy it for a second. That was like,
and they slowed it down. They slowed it down in slow motion so it looked more impressive. Yeah, I noticed that too.
It's just a firecracker. They don't damage the set, but whatever.
But then we get a war fight where he gets knocking down all the empty cargo containers.
Boy,
and
everything's empty.
I had a memory here that he actually got hurt when that one fell on him, and that he needed to, like, I know he breaks his spine in the one episode, kind of the same way or something, but I thought he got hurt here as well, and he wouldn't, he was, yeah. But no, that's not the case. But it's an interesting little fight scene, I guess.
I mean, it's fine. It's just a bit laughable. You can just feel the lack of weight to everything he's touching. Yeah. I mean, especially those like hexagons that you assume are like good for you for building a billion props, because these are all obviously for this episode, like a lot of them, but they have no weight at all. Like I would have hired 2 stunt guys properly, because you can see at least some of it's Michael Dorn. I would have got 2 really good stunt performers, give the stuff some weight and risk it, because it doesn't play well and it lets itself down a bit. But again, it's scale, just I guess bad art, bad sound design, bad whatever. But yeah, knocks Worf out. He beams away. I'm not sure how he managed to reroute. Oh no, okay. Because he reroutes because they disable it, but he can repower it, but it should still be locked out. But obviously he did in the engineering room. He unblocked stuff and they didn't know what. So I guess he knew he was unblocking this. Mm-hmm. But he escapes very quickly, and I'm wondering, where's he going to go? I think he went where no one was expecting, to the ship he's meant to be going to, which I thought was a really nice, like, oh, huh.
But
okay.
then,
cool.
Then they can't track him because all the external sensors aren't functioning.
Because of the
explosion. There's no way to track. Yeah. Which is all right. I like that. Then we get a message from the president. Turns out he actually went back to where you wouldn't expect him to go either, back to Luna 5. And he attacked it with their own shuttle. And there's other people missing now.
It reminds me a lot of the last Mad Max in that respect.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the ship he stole was more powerful than the one that he originally stole.
Because this was a police shuttle. They even make the point of saying it's a police shuttle. The other one was a transport.
Yeah, okay. And they do say it's minimally armed.
It was minimally armed with no warp for the transport. They didn't say how much the police shuttle, but considering it's a police shuttle, I would assume it's more heavily armed.
Yeah, because this is again a very quick escalation from he escaped to he's broken a bit. Like the whole thing is ruined. The whole the whole base is ruined.
So the president's basically asking for their help because he says we aren't prepared to fight these people. That's what we created them for.
That was their job, and they went rogue. So
yeah,
I thought it was quite a nice line. And then the entire senior staff go. Or at least they leave the bridge. All of them. Everyone on the bridge leaves. It's like, why are they all going? Have you ever seen a full packed corridor with 5 of the 8 leads? Yeah.
I love how Riker's talks to Worf and says the captain's personal safety is your responsibility. Worf's like, I know I'm head of security. That's my job. Thank you for just reiterating the fact, though. It's like,
isn't it always?
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't be going down. That felt like a redundant scene. I know it's meant to for the audience, but we also know this guy isn't a murderer in the same way. So no, waste of a few seconds there, episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get phaser props, which they built lots of. I don't like them at all, but they exist, so whatever.
Yeah, handing them out to people because they're heading towards heading throughout the city right now.
Also, I just realized, do you like the fact that the costumes are color-coded like Star Trek? They've got red, green, blue, gold, black, or dark blue. Is that trying to be an indication these are early Federation-y people? Because they're meant to like science, like whatever. Because they're all wearing primary color internal things.
Maybe. I just assumed they were suits. I don't know.
I know, they're just so bright.
I really considered that, but...
Because that'd have been nice, subtext of, hey, they're just like us, but not really.
So they beam down, and he's like, is this it? Where's your security people? And then they have a nice discussion.
But he's like, I'm not going to fight your war.
Well, yeah, they ask about reversing the process. Well, we can remove the chemicals from their system, but we aren't sure about the psychological programming, if it can be reversed. Did you tell them about the risks when they joined up? We were helping them to survive the war. Can't you understand? It was the will of the people, which has been said a few times, which I hate. We had a vote.
Well, I mean, if you want to go directly into that, although for 1 second, before jumping into this whole discussion, the fact they beam down and say, we're not going to help you fight your war, is it the Enterprise's responsibility that he managed to do the jailbreak or not? Because he says it's not our fight, but he escaped from their ship, stole the ship and got the place. Or would have done that anyway had they not been there to intercept him. So, do you know what I mean? Is it their responsibility or not? At this point, before the second part of the conversation.
That's an interesting point. Yes and no.
Because could he have done it without them? But he wasn't. He was leaving. But was he going to get... You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a good question.
Because they certainly got involved. And they clearly sided with him, not them. I just find it odd. He's like, oh, no. We allowed him to get a shuttle, but we were our best. It's like, well, it kind of is. I mean, it's because of you he's in this better position. You know, if you're not here, who the hell knows? But
yeah.
And then they say referendum, which obviously for us, for English people, has a lot more weight than I'm sure it had back then. If you're English, it's like, yep, the referendum, and it's like, well, not all referendums are good, because you can do referendum for fear and without good common sense, and it's like, well, I guess that's what happened here, because they use that as the argument. People voted, you can vote and not be a good thing.
The best reason was, though, that we may need to use them again someday. That's why we haven't reversed anything and just shuffled them up.
That's what they were saying.
He actually says we may need to use them again someday. It actually says, and besides, we may need to use them again someday. So it's like, wow, you dicks.
Oh, I thought that was just an afterthought, but that's interesting. I didn't even get that. Oh,
yeah.
That's because I would have assumed it'd be easy to make another set, but I guess maybe they're thinking who's going to volunteer a second time, because now they will put back in the population. See, I love that. I really wish that had been like made a point of, like a distinct point of, like, you bastards, you just want to use them again. Yes, fine, but I didn't even get that. That's really interesting, actually. Because you do get a sense they barely tried. They didn't want to put resources to healing them. I just thought they just didn't care. I didn't even get the secondary decision. That's interesting.
Olivia Julius, $2. Hashtag neck cell is right. It's not, though, because I don't know how to pronounce that word. It's not nacelle, that's for sure.
Nickel,
yeah, maybe. James McGill puts in $5. Love to see these soldiers in Starfleet. Even deprogrammed, these guys would be of great value, especially during Dominion War. Happy birthday. Well, thank you very much, James.
It does make you wonder given how efficient this was, because they do win against the Enterprise. Like, he does twice. Like, he fully escapes, and they don't let him escape. Like, he does, and he beats up Worf. Like, seriously, give the guy credit. He actually wins, and that never happens. So yeah, put him against the Jem'Hadar squadron. That would be interesting as a thing, for sure.
Dementia throws in $5.
Thank you.
Shown everyone in the government is a member of Section 31.
Is it our Section 31 or their Section 31?
Yeah.
But then they arrive in very combat style. They clearly quite enjoy shooting that. They're all like repelling and coming like... yeah.
And Picard's like, "Oh, everybody, lower your gun. If they're not threatened, they can't hurt you. They won't hurt an innocent. You know, it's
like the Borg."
Right.
There's still free will here. You know, I still felt like it's not that they're not programmed to not hurt people. They can choose to if they want to.
Yeah, they can choose to, but it's not in their nature because they were good people when they joined.
He is not in his nature.
Yeah, that's true.
I just thought it was a little bit weird. It's like they're not Borg.
But he's their leader, I guess. But I love how he's like, shoot us, destroy us, do what you have to do, but you will not ignore us. So he doesn't care if they die at this point or whatever.
They're already dead, in essence, in his mindset. Yeah. It's a very human ending. This bit is like, we just want something else.
We want our lives back. We want to come home.
We're not here to ransom. We're not here to be mean. We're not here to kill anybody. We're here to make sure we are heard. That's it. And you don't get a sense that they actually hurt anybody coming up to this place, apart from on the moon, who are their oppressors. Here, you get a sense they just marched through sneakily, cleverly. There's no they didn't burn down the citadel. They didn't break the chains. They didn't, they got here without killing people.
Yeah. And the response is, I'm not prepared to negotiate under threat. But if you put down your weapons and return to Luna 5, we will consider it.
No deal.
Picard's like, well, I guess it looks like you guys have a decision to make. It's been an interesting visit.
Well, no, he says no, flat out no. And he's like, Picard, you help. And then, sorry, just that.
Yeah. True. Picard's like, well, it's been an interesting visit. When you're ready, the Federation will be prepared to reconsider your application. But you've got some decisions to make right now, so bye.
Your government has a choice right now. In the next few minutes, it'll change drastically, one way or the other.
Yep.
Then he leaves. Okay. And then he actually leaves. And they never look back.
Well, he says, number one, asks him how things went. Number one, we'll put in our report that if the government survives the night, we will offer them assistance in helping the soldiers. And if the government doesn't survive the night, well then, tough.
I really was expecting, or I wish that we'd had a scene like a post-credit where the ship's walking away and they get, hail.
Explosions on the surface. And nuclear bombs going off.
You know where I'm going. They get hail and they say, Captain, we received a message from the planet. What does it say? Well, we've been gone 45 minutes. 33 million people are dead. The government's been destroyed. The nuke's been fired, and the planet is now wrecked with a disaster. And he's like, oh, okay. So you still don't care?
I'll be in my ready room. And that's the end
they
of
just
the
leave. It's like, what are you doing? I found them leaving absurd. It's so, I don't care. I'll let you guys. He's holding a gun at your head, sort of, and you're not going to give him what he wants, sort of, and you're leaving a hostage situation. It just felt so disingenuous to what he would do, especially since last week happened.
And to be fair,
what the hell?
To be fair, a lot of TNG episodes run that way because it's like, this has been a great episode, but it's the hour mark, guys. We gotta wrap it up. And it's like that's 2 minutes just tumble down a hill to an ending when it's been such a great episode.
I just don't believe he'd do this and then leave orbit. If he says in dialogue, in a few minutes we'll know, then wait in orbit for an hour.
Yeah.
You could have. If you've destroyed a government because you've let them do this, that's on you, Picard. That's on you. You're responsible for this. How the hell are you justified in leaving? I know it's not your planet, but you've put your face right in the politics. The fact that you were sympathetic to this Roger guy probably has made him feel more justified in his cause, has given him more spark. He might have only gone back fillers because he thinks you're going to support him, and you have, in essence. You've given him they weren't in an equal position, were they? You were leaving people with hostages to have hostages. There wasn't equal bargaining. They had all the power. So I don't understand his rationale at all, except, it's not my responsibility. But it is. Terrible ending for Picard. I don't know if you agree or if them going too far here, but I thought it was so out of character and unbelievable, honestly.
It's a typical TNG wrapping up the episode ending. I really had no issue with it, but I understand the problems that it generates, but
it's the worst bit of the episode for me because it does not fit in it at all.
No, I agree.
It's very strange. Really irritating.
Ginkgo Yoki, $5. Cromwell character. This is all you brought? Picard. You must ask the right questions. Jeff Jacobs, $2. Got our Hundy. Nice job. Yes. Can't escape saying it. Siraxis, $5.
Thank you.
Well, number one, I think that's quite enough interfering with other cultures and breaking the Prime Directive for this episode. Next planet, engage. And Lookout Tower Radio, £5. Happy birthday, Captain. Thought I'd give you something towards... where the hell did it go? Give you something towards the Corona Beer Fund. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. But this is a tricky one, Prime Directive, because they're obviously warp capable. They've obviously been talked about. it's interference as much as they're not, they're not cleaning up the mess they helped to make, but also they're not all capable. I mean, they're not a lesser developed species. They've crossed that line.
Mm-hmm.
Like once they've crossed that line, you can't keep saying everyone's lower developed. Like, that's not fair. Once you've got warp and they've made contact, they are who they are. Yeah, just really strange ending. But I can't let that ruin it for me, because that's not fair, Because you can still sort of, at least for me, I get the sense that the president guy will say fine. But I was hoping that the guy, Roga, was going to say, we want a ship, we want to leave, we want to just fly out and go see what we want. That's what I thought was going to go. Like, okay, we know we can't stay here, we know no one wants us to stay here, but just let us leave the planet. Let us just do something somewhere else. Let us make our own destiny.
Planet to make our own.
Yeah.
Like Han. Even though we still have violent tendencies, and we'll kill each other if we piss each other off.
And then then a solar flare is going to make us a different planet, and then a ship from the Enterprise F era is going to come along and say,
not a solar flare, an exploding star.
There we go.
Super.
And they're going to say, hold on. They're going to say, so this guy Roga is going to say, he's going to walk up to two people beamed onto their planet, and they're in the cargo hold. They're going to walk up to, what's her name, Ro Lara, and say, I recognize you. From the Enterprise. And we're like, but Ro wasn't on that ship yet. No, she was in the bathroom the entire season before she got the ship, like Walter says. So just paralleling the nonsensicalness for that.
Olivia Julius, $5. Isn't that's what happened back in the Great Augment Wars of the 1990s? Kind of similar?
Yeah, kind of similar.
Well,
they obviously have more morals, but apart from that, pretty similar. At least it's their version of it, yeah. This is City Alpha 5, says Devereaux. Yes.
Alright, so...
Alright, Stuart. And guys, give us your Super Chat scores now. We'd love to get another $30 at the end if we can. That'd be great. We're to end off. Oh, no dislikes, Stuart. 113 likes, no dislikes. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Right, so
$5 for He's a Jolly Good Captain. Oh my god, here we go. For He's a Jolly Good Captain, for He's a Jolly Good Captain, who half of us now outrank. Happy birthday. Wow, thanks, Jarzgan. That's
love that. Because did you mention you can join the channel rank of Admiral and outrank the Captain?
I mentioned that early on. You can outrank us immediately.
It always annoys me, but it's lovely. A lovely annoyance.
No, this one, like I say, it's better than I remember, and I like that. I do like the escape, all the little tactics he used, and the Starfleet's kind of response to it. You get a feel for Starfleet security. At the same time, it's kind of nonsensical and too many coincidences and conveniences for me.
But you like my explanations for the most part. For the most part.
Moving on, for the most part, I guess. I just don't like it as much as you do, I think. So, but anyway, so fucking scores, goddamn. So season three, this is going to be a holy shit, a 6.5. For all of TNG. It's gonna have to be a 4.5. It's still, yeah, it's gonna have to be a 4.5. I just can't justify a higher score for all of TNG because I know there's so many more better episodes. This is one that I don't enjoy rewatching because I never thought I'd liked it, or I liked it very much, And like I said, give it a few more episodes and I'll be like, what happened in The Hunted again?
Which is amazing because it feels so memorable because this is not an episode of TNG we ever see. We never see a chase of the ship this fully featured with a strategic component this well thought out and a fully three-dimensional character, villain, antagonist who isn't either. Like, this is not a regular thing on this show, especially the chase bit. That's it's like the Picard Bayesian sweep. That's pretty unique. Like
Theraron sweep.
There is a Bayesian. That's a different thing. Obviously, there's always all the Arons, but
oh, gotcha.
There's lots of those sorts of things. No, I mean, I'm sure that's also happened.
And Jill, sometimes we mix it up, and he does his ranking first. But yeah, we should switch it up every once in a while.
I mean, I'm happy to.
So yeah, guys, put your super chat rankings in. I'll read those when Samuel's done his.
Because we're getting a few, so I'd love to know. $15. I think that'll be good.
Yeah, and yeah. So what do you think? I know you loved it.
Well, it's memorable. It's one I like because I think just the actor I really like. It was about as good as I remember on rewatch, which, if you remember, the enemy was a lot less good than I remember on rewatch, which I was sad about. This held up because I knew the simple premise, but I was impressed by the level of dialogue quality. The ending is atrocious, but it's literally like a minute, and that's the problem. You know, it literally is 1 minute of screen time. The setup is better than I remember. The middle's about as good as I remember, but with better dialogue. The chase is a little bit less good than I remember. But that's because he suddenly gave him knowledge of everything, which they shouldn't. That was the biggest problem. If they explicitly say he was ultra intelligent, maybe, or just he found a manual lying in a Jeffrey's tube. I mean, there are little ways you can do it. They didn't even try. It's a shame. Like if it was a Klingon, then you could argue, yeah, but they're advanced as the Starfleet, so they can kind of, you know what I mean? They can somehow make sense of us in linear. Blah, blah, blah. But there's certain things he can do that aren't logical, even though they explain has enhanced intelligence with the drugs. Fine. Intelligence versus knowledge, not the same thing. Not the same thing. But that's why it's family outsmarts Data, because intelligence versus intelligent thinking are different. Data can't be as strategic as he can. That works, the other one doesn't. But they don't diminish because you can sort of think around them a little bit. They're small things. Season 3 is the annoying score because there are so many good episodes in Season 3, so it will not be as high as it could be because the season is so good. So it can't be as good. Oh, goodness. I'm going to go a 7 or 7.5 for the season, because again, the season's so strong, it isn't like the strongest. It can't be, but it's strong. I'll go 7.5 just to try and see how that averages out later. No, I'll go 7. No. But all of TNG, I definitely give it higher. I'll give it a 6 for all TNG. Well above average, because there's nothing wrong with it, apart from the end. But well above average, or at least maybe 6.5, but there's so much good TNG. That's the thing, you always say enjoyment factor. I enjoy this more than lots of ones. I enjoy this one more than, lots of the ones we've always seen. Like, I enjoy this more than...
It could be a nostalgia thing, because you said you watched this quite a bit when you were younger, too.
But that's because I liked it more. I mean, it's like, I enjoy this more than Who Watches the Watchers. Like, that wasn't as fun
I'd rather watch Who Watches the Watchers than this one.
So I think just on that, for fun, I'll give 6.5 for all TNG, because it's more fun to watch. But for different reasons. Yeah. There you go.
All right. Super chat time.
Yes.
Dementia, $2. 6.5 out of 10.
Cool.
Obi-Wan's favorite episode is up next. What's next?
What?
He throws off. The High Ground, is that what it's called? Is it?
Jesus. I mean, that'd be funny if it was.
Let's see what's next here.
Or Death Sticks.
Oh, A Matter of Perspective. That's not next. Oh, The High Ground. It is The High Ground that's next. And then Matter of Perspective is like after...
Wow. Lots of Obi-Wan themed episodes. Crazy.
That's funny. All right, so...
Good joke. That was a good joke.
Zeraxis, $5. I still think this was a good episode, but I do find it interesting that the showrunners chose to leave the episode so open-ended. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. See, it's not open-ended, though, because what happens is they fly away, and then later that day or the next day, they get a message saying, yeah, things are all resolved now. We're going to try to make sure these people get the medical attention they need. You said you guys would help us with that? Yeah? Okay, cool. Because
Can you come back now?
We just want to be in the Federation.
It's true.
But now we've got that. It'll be a roadblock, I think.
No, it is true. Depending how much they need to be part of the Federation, then you could see them just saying, fine. We'll give them the help they need.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing towards being part of the Federation. But yeah, yeah.
And Olivia Julius, $5.
Thank
to
you.
Commander Cockings, who's the Ensign Kim of Trekyards. He's not, though. He doesn't want the promotion. We've talked about this. The Captain-Commander dynamic is fun and makes sense. Can't have Captain. And I don't want to be an Admiral.
Captain. And we've had the occasional joke promotion, and that's been part of the fun. But I would, if I was Ensign Cockings, I would refuse. I would riot, take the ship over and kill Stuart, or at least.
And honestly, We had Captain Picard and Commander Riker for 7 years.
Yeah.
We're only coming up on 6 years in October, so...
Yeah. No, it's true. And I've been offered promotion several times. I just always turn it down, both figuratively and literally. But thank you. I mean, yeah.
And she goes on to put in $2 and says,
3
3 out of 5 captains. Jarzia throws in $5. I'll give it a 5.5 for season 3 and a 4.5 for TNG.
Ooh,
it's
wow.
not bad, but it feels like a leftover season 1 or 2 episode that makes its way into season 3.
Disagree.
Squadron Course, $2. 6 out of 10 for me. Fun, but too many plot holes.
Half a plot holes.
You're so funny. When you hate an episode, your plot holes are the thing that sticks you on them, but when it's an episode you like, it's like, whatever.
I mean, yeah, we're all the same, though. Exactly the same. I don't care about the plot hole, but there's so many plots, I just don't care. It's like, okay. Whereas I at least answered them. You just don't care when you don't care. It's like, well, that's not a useful argument.
Well, if I don't have an answer, but I will answer them if I do.
It's true.
Jarzia, member upgrade to the rank of Admiral.
Ha, Stuart. You have to, no, salute Jarzia properly. Nope. Well, it's a unique one. I think certainly interesting. Thank you. That's amazing. Wow, brilliant.
And Becky Schultz is now a member of the rank of Commander. So welcome, Becky.
We're the same rank. But what do you specialize in? Because I guess I'm a commander. What commander are you, Becky?
Yeah, Brian Strait.
Not too many commanders who are commanding.
Right. Decent enough, but in the end, a meh episode. A mepisode, as he says. Mepisode. 5 out of 10 for season, 4 out of 10 for the series. Cool.
And then the non-super chat scores, which I see less of this week, or today, but that's okay. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 by Mario.
That's bullshit.
It's a lot. 6.5 out of 10 Super Soldiers. 7.5, 6. 7.5, 6.5, 5. 5.5, 6, Becky, not very memorable, but still, seems about where I gave it. 5 out of 10, 5. Now on your high ground jokes. His high ground joke. Okay, so less scores this week. But yeah, I think so. So basically in between us, basically.
Yeah.
We exist as the gambit between the high and the low.
My score's higher than it would be, though, going into this, because I remember I said, the next couple I absolutely hate. Like, the Vengeance Factor and High Ground are just not good.
But that's why I mean, I don't know how you compare this to those two. Like, this is enjoyable.
It's not, though.
But you did enjoy it.
I did, but not as much as I could have.
Sure. Well, our scores are drastically higher than the last two. I mean, because we were very similar last two. Well, the last 3. But the thing is nice to have the ones that we're different on, because that means our top 5 will be different. Well, probably won't be this season because again they're pretty high. But it's like Booby Trap. You gave that a 9.5. I gave it an 8, and I was like, really? Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. 8 out of 10.
Squadron Course, $2. Should have said soldiers created to fight Starfleet, but that doesn't make much sense.
No. Now, fight Klingons. That could have been fun.
Yeah.
No.
Super Coops, £5.
Thank you.
A little so the captain can have a belated birthday beer. Enjoy, Cap. Also, 7 out of 10 for season 3. 5 out of 10 for all TNG. Good show as always, guys. Thanks. Well, thank you, Super Coops.
Nice.
Much appreciated.
I think we definitely hit our 30, which is awesome. Guys, so my birthday is the 7th of June, next Sunday. We'll be doing the special post-birthday double live, which will be hopefully you in your garden again, because I quite liked that last time, if it's warm enough. So you create a nice, fun vibe. I would do that, but this is the PC that streams, so it's kind of impractical. I can't move. But that'll be either 13th Saturday or 14th the Sunday. That's one will be a full drunk one. We'll have a plethora of drinks, plethora of things to enjoy, presents to show, presents to talk about, and that we hope you guys join us as our birthday celebration live. That's gonna be a lot of fun, I think. And that'll be much earlier in the day. So I might try and bring on the ambassadors. I might try and get them around for a special guest. Maybe the Admiral can join and make it a star-studded guest appearance one if they're both around. Who on earth knows? But looking forward to that. So if you are around on the weekend of the 13th of June, join in for our special birthday extravaganza where we expect to drink many, many shots as both punishment and celebration by you guys.
For getting older.
Oh, getting wiser.
Budweiser. Yeah. Sorry. Anywho, I did have a good birthday. Thanks, guys. Zachary just asked, so I hope I had a good birthday, and I did. So, anyway, guys, number one special puts in $2. Will you be in your birthday suits? Yes, underneath our clothes. Always wearing my birthday suit. But,
have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Okay.